So today I have princess stories from Disney, and it's 5-minute princess stories, like just before bedtime. The first story is about Cinderella, of course, and it is called The Lost Mice. One clear winter night, the prince led Cinderella out to the balcony. "I have a surprise for you," he said, handing her a box. Inside was a beautiful coat. "Oh, it's simply lovely," Cinderella exclaimed. "Thank you." It was a pretty and thoughtful gift. The coat would keep her warm during the cold weather. The next morning, the princess showed her coat to Susie, one of her mouse friends. "Isn't the prince thoughtful?" Cinderella remarked. "Nice, Susie exclaimed. The coat sleeve felt warm and cozy, especially compared to where the mice lived. A few minutes later, Jack and Gus went into Cinderella's room. It had been a chilly night in the attic, and the mice were still shivering. "Cinderella, Cinderella," Jack called. He knew that if he told the princess how cold the attic was, she would do something about it. But she was rushing off to get dressed for a tea party, so she didn't hear her friend. Jack sighed. It was too cold for the mice to stay in the attic much longer. Cinderella had always been very kind to the mice, and Jack was sure that she would want them to be warm. So he and Gus called all the rest of the mice down from the attic, and they sat in front of a blazing fire in Cinderella's room. Before long, their cold paws and tails were warmed up, and their teeth stopped shattering. They'd wait there until Cinderella got back. So they thought. Soon, the new housekeeper came in to clean the room. When she saw the mice, she shooed them away. "Mice don't belong in the castle," she yelled. "Now get out." The housekeeper didn't know that the mice were Cinderella's friends. She chased them with a broom, and she frightened the mice, and they had no choice but to scramble back up into the cold attic. Gus began to shiver as soon as the mice were safely upstairs. The mice really needed the prince's help, but how would they be able to speak to Cinderella when they were all afraid to set foot downstairs? Suddenly, the castle gardener barged through the attic door. Before the mice knew what was happening, he had trapped them. "Now take them outside," they heard the housekeeper say. "Take them far away so that they never return." Meanwhile, Cinderella's tea party had ended, and she and the prince were outside riding when all of a sudden, in the countryside, they saw the gardener. And as they were trotting through the countryside, they saw the gardener that was tending to something in the field. And they said, "Hello," the prince called out. "It's much too cold for you to be working outside." But the gardener did not answer, so the prince called out again, and still there was no reply. As they rode on, the prince turned to Cinderella, and he said, "That was odd. I believe he did not hear me. Why wouldn't he answer?" "Well, perhaps he was lost in a thought," Cinderella replied. Cinderella was right. The gardener had been trying to make a decision. He was about to let the mice go, as the housekeeper had ordered, but then he was worried about them. He knew that it was too cold outside. Finally, he decided to take the mice to the stables. "Now, don't tell the housekeeper," he told the stable workers, "but these poor mice need a warm place to stay and a bite to eat." The mice were very grateful to their new friends. The mice nestled together in the barn, but as the night approached, the stables got colder. Luckily, the horses were very friendly, and they told the mice to snuggle up on their manes to keep themselves warm. Gus said as he drifted off to sleep. Later that night, back at the castle, Cinderella was starting to worry. She hadn't seen the mice since the morning. Jack and Gus nearly always came by the evening to say hello. Cinderella was searching for the mice when she ran into the prince. "Why, hello," the prince said. "Are you looking for the same person I am?" "Why, no, I don't think so," Cinderella replied. "I am looking for the mice." "Ah," said the prince. "Well, I am looking for our new housekeeper. Apparently she threw the mice out of the castle today." "Oh, no," cried Cinderella. "Poor dears, they'll freeze outside." "Don't worry," the prince said. "The mice have found a new friend." He told Cinderella about the gardener and what he had done. Together, Cinderella and the prince went into the stables. They thanked the gardener and the stable workers. Then they gently woke the mice. "Cinderella, Cinderella," the mice shouted happily. Cinderella was relieved to see her little friends safe and sound. Though the stables had been nice, the mice were glad to return to the castle. From now on, Cinderella made sure that the mice had always a warm place of their own in one of the main rooms in the castle. A few nights later, Cinderella and the prince threw a grand ball. The gardener was the guest of honor, and by then the housekeeper had been properly introduced to the mice, and all was well. As the guests twirled around the dance floor, and they celebrated with a banquet of their own in a nice, warm, and cozy place at last.